So here's my thought: is immediately we're defining it because NXT is by admission third brand.
Yeah.
So we're immediately saying AAA is on the level of the third brand, same as they've done with TNA, making sure that everybody knows that TNA is beneath WWE, is beneath that the top guy. Let's say, for example, the top star in TNA, the world heavyweight champion, gets a chance to make his debut in WrestleMania against the legendary legend killer, as it may, Randy Orton. Mike, how would that play out if that scenario were to happen?
I think he would be squashed in like 3 minutes and made to look like a geek.
Yeah.
So what you're tonight, I know this is a positive, as a really pro TNA show, and I know that we have to be sycophantic because we're affiliated with TNA. We have to be sycophantic to WWE now. So I have to say, it was amazing that the TNA champion got to be showcased on WrestleMania, where he got his fucking ass kicked by a guy who was 9 inches taller than him, and he looked like a complete dork. But he got his title belt on TV.
Yeah, I know you're so anxious to talk about it. We'll get to it, but goddamn, did Joe Hendry look like it? He looked like Dean Malenko in there next to fucking Randy Orton.
Randy Orton is low-key one of the largest dudes in professional wrestling. Like, people don't talk about how massive that guy is. But I mean, realistically, did anybody come out of watching that show thinking that Joe Hendry and TNA by extension was anything other than a joke?
So I think JD, and I'm saying this to King of the North, I'm saying this to everybody. When it comes to what you think you know about pro wrestling and what draws in pro wrestling, you got to throw it out the window when it comes to Joe Hendry. Because I'm telling you right now, he went and did his NXT debut and got eliminated in a battle royal in under a minute. And the numbers went up as far as their house show numbers. He lost to Frankie Kazarian, and he stayed over. He lost to Nick Nemeth at Bound for Glory, stayed over. He went to the Royal Rumble, did one offensive maneuver on Roman Reigns, and then got immediately thrown out, and the numbers are staying up. And now he's at WrestleMania in front of a worldwide audience, 60,000 people chanting his name. He got geeked out in less than 3 minutes, and he's viral now. And I guarantee you, nothing's going to change. The numbers are going to keep going up, and I think Rebellion will probably sell a few more tickets than what they did beforehand. I know it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. It shouldn't be this way. But I'm just telling you that's just the way that it is, and I don't like it.
For Joe Hendry, that's great because he has a job lined up when he's done with TNA. When that TNA contract ends, he's going to walk right into WWE. Which again, you would think so. Nah, he's going to go right whenever that contract. But
it's not like this is AEW and New Japan.
No.
This is not AEW New Japan where you walk right into AEW from New Japan. WWE hasn't been taking all these TNA stars. They've only taken Jordan Grace.
No, they're taking no. I'm not talking about TNA stars. I'm talking about Joe Hendry specifically.
Yeah.
Because as we've said from the jump, since that guy showed up in TNA, that act will work in WWE. It's proven. It's proven it will work.
And we just saw what they truly thought of it.
Right.
So it is a comedy. He is a comedy geek act. He has been auditioning for WWE for years. Yep. This was his biggest audition, and I thought he nailed it.
For sure. It's great. It's great for Joe Hendry. He's gonna do awesome with this. Mike, are you hearing yourself repeat? Are you hearing an echo?
I just pulled Joe off because I think he might have put us on speakerphone.
Oh, okay. That was messing me up for a minute. No, I'll keep going. So Joe Hendry, it did great for Joe Hendry. I don't see how that helps TNA as a brand when he's gone.
When he's gone, if and when that happens, I just don't know. It depends on who they put in line next and how the relationship comes. I think that they treated Joe Hendry like a geek. I think that's what he's going to be whenever he gets to WWE. I don't think he's going to be a major force in WWE if and when he gets there.
But
I think,
Mike, here's the thing about Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is a geek.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing about Joe Hendry. He is a geek. It works. It's fine. I just don't know if it go ahead.
This Joe Hendry is what Joe Hendry is. The way that they presented him is what people come to the arena to see.
Mm-hmm.
They like the music. They like the spinny thing. They like the cheesy grin. They like the clapping, right? The matches don't fucking matter with Joe Hendry. And they never did. People are like, why would I be interested in Joe Hendry now? I'm like, why were you ever interested in Joe Hendry? Oh, you weren't? Then you're never going to be interested in Joe Hendry. But there was a lot of people in that crowd, and there's a lot of people that were watching that probably think he's funny. They think the song is catchy, and they would love to go and cheer him. So what's going to happen when Joe Hendry leaves? Who fucking knows? What happened when Jordan Grace left? Not a goddamn thing. Now, when Joe Hendry leaves, he is their top draw. Like, he's absolutely, like, him and the Hardys are the top draw, and they're both very likely leaving at the end of the year. But there's nothing anybody can do about it. WrestleMania doesn't change that one bit.
Yeah, but I'm not saying WrestleMania changes a little bit. I'm saying is like when Jordan Grace was booked as like the best women's wrestler in the world, essentially, when she was in TNA. That's essentially how she was booked for the last like 4 or 5 years there, right? Joe Hendry, a comedy geek who's super over, like we said from the moment he showed up there, I said he was a bad fit in Ring of Honor, never made sense there, will fit much better in TNA. Better than I ever thought, better than anybody ever thought would have happened, quite frankly. Dude is over. WWE has their eyes on him, have for a while. Yeah. He's helping TNA, helping them get exposure, but he's also telling the WWE audience in general that TNA is kind of a joke, right? And then beneath NXT, but it is. So I get it.
Yeah, but TNA knows their place. Like, no one's denying what their place is. Like, no one's pretending they're anything other than what they are, which is beneath. I don't understand what's like, okay, well, what does this do for TNA? Probably going to sell more ticket whenever he leaves. I don't fucking know. They'll probably find somebody else. But what I can tell you is they're only playing the short game right now. And the long game is just trying to get more exposure, get their title on TV for longer. Who knows? But TNA is not pretending to be anything other than what they are, which is a small company that is, being little brothered by WWE. So, like, Len Asper was tweeting how great it was to see his champion on WrestleMania, because none of those people that were watching him give a fuck about the result of that match. They liked his entrance and they cheered his entrance. And you know what? If they hear that Joe Hendry's coming into their little town, they would probably go see him. And I have evidence of that. I have evidence of that because the numbers are up.
Here's where I disagree with you. I do think those people in that audience did give a fuck about the result of that match because they watched Randy Orton, a guy that they've invested in for over 2 decades, destroy somebody that was beneath him.
Right. But do you think that's going to prevent them from going to see Joe Hendry when he comes to their town?
No, because it doesn't matter. No. Oh, TNA? I don't know. TNA is going to get like the same. They've been doing really well with the draws. Do they a few more people because of this? No, probably not. Because by like any significant margin, WWE fans traditionally watch WWE. Now, there are a handful that will venture out into other things, but it is a handful, as proven by TNA's numbers. They've done better. They've done better, but they're not getting like, oh my gosh, look at all the people that watch NXT that know of TNA. Like, it's not overwhelming. But again, I'm questioning.
It's overwhelming for TNA. Like 2 years ago, they're averaging like 500 a show. Like, you know what I mean? And like Rebellion's going to have like 3,000 people there.
Yeah, but their upswing started before the WWE stuff even came in. Like we were talking about, it was started
not to the extent like it went from June of last year, it jumped up significantly.
For sure.
Right? Like for TNA's level. We all have to look at the TNA in the context of TNA.
Absolutely.
You got to throw every other company out.
Absolutely.
This has done wonders for TNA.
Absolutely.
Like the only reason people are coming to these shows is because of the WWE relationship, Joe Hendry and the Hardys. That's it.
All I want to say, I just want to be consistent because we have gone on this and we have talked about how awful it was that Triple H destroyed Taz as ECW champion in a matter of minutes. There's literally no difference between those.
But you just corrected Joe when he brought up Eddie Guerrero and you said, well, that was 20 years ago, Joe. That was over 20 years ago. That was
someone dying. No. That was someone different. Eddie Guerrero wasn't proven to be anything as a draw. Right. One, because he died. So but what I'm, well, Two, I know he didn't draw anything to begin with.
No, he was never a draw, but he was a big star in the WWE. There's a difference between like he was very popular in the WWE. He's heavily featured, an all-time legend. That's indisputable. There's no way we can say, but he wasn't a draw. But there's only fucking 5 people in wrestling that are draws, right? But like, there's not many people are draws.
But that's the thing is we can't sit there and say, well, someone so-and-so made such and such a star. What does that mean? Especially when you label everyone that promotes that's in your company as a quote unquote superstar. So
is Eddie Guerrero a star?
Was he a star in his era? Yeah, because like
then what the fuck are we talking about? He was a star.
He wasn't a draw, but my thing is like we haven't made a superstar. Like Eddie Guerrero came over there as a guy who had been bursting from the seams, who had tons of attention to begin with. I want people to stop acting like the WWE made these guys when they all came over as pushed entities because of what happened in WCW. I just get fucking tired of the reinvention of everything. That just because WWE owns WCW now means that they should absorb all the legacy of it, because that's bullshit. Those guys were made in WCW. Not in WWE. Did they get
Eddie
a chance
Guerrero
to
became a bigger
star?
Sure. Eddie Guerrero was not treated like a star in WCW.
Eddie Guerrero was over as fuck in WCW. They held back on pushing him. Go back and watch those Nitros. That dude was fucking over. Those crowds were ready to make Eddie Guerrero a star. Eric Bischoff, who gets to make a shit ton of money being a carny dick fuck every week, is the guy that held him back, and then gets to act like he fucking knows what he's talking about when Vince made a ton of his guys into stars, but he was too fucking stupid to push any of them because they were under 40. Like that's just doing what's obvious, right? It's taking advantage of what is being given to you. So we can't act like
WCW never got behind Eddie.
No, they didn't.
WCW never got behind Eddie. That's why he left. He went to WWF, and they got behind him eventually. Now, was he ever a major draw? No, but he was still one of the more popular WWE stars of that era. Okay, now back. I agree with you. What they did to Taz when he came on as the ECW champion fucking sucked. I'm telling you right now, it is for whatever reason, it shouldn't be different. It shouldn't be different. I agree that him getting squashed like a geek should suck, and it should destroy TNA's business. I'm just telling you, I've been witnessing it. I've been covering it every week. Every time I think that it's going to go back down and that Joe Hendry's popularity is going to go back down, it doesn't, no matter what happens to him. No matter, like, what happened with Randy Orton was no worse than what happened at the Royal Rumble, right? Was no worse, right? He got looked like a geek, and you know what? He stayed extremely popular. In fact, they just had a show in Vegas, and he was like the most popular guy on that show by far. And despite the fact that he got eliminated in less than like 5 minutes at the Royal Rumble with only getting offense on The Miz, right? So I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. I just, for specifically, now I think if it were Moose, because of the way that Moose is presented,
I agree.
Right? Moose is presented like a bad motherfucker, much like Taz is presented like a bad motherfucker, then it would be different because then no one's going to see him as a bad motherfucker. Joe Hendry is presented like a meme comedy guy. And so he goes on a Wrestlemania as a meme comedy guy, does his little spinny thing after getting an offensive maneuver on Randy Orton. He hits him with an RKO, hits him again, and boom, it's over. People are into it, and they fucking loved it.
I don't disagree with anybody. I think it works because it's Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
Because it's Joe Hendry, it absolutely works.
One thing you got to look at is their TNA is doing the same thing they did when Hendry was eliminated from the Battle Royal and when he was eliminated from the Royal Rumble. They're not talking about any of that on social media right now. What are they doing? They've got a picture of Hendry and Orton doing the stare down, and that's followed up with a link to their ticket sales.
Yes.
And that's all they care about. That is all they care about.
Now would I've liked it better if Randy Orton and Joe Hendry did 15 minutes, a 50-50 match, and Joe Hendry kicked out of some moves and got hit with the RKO? Of course.
You're lying. You would not, because it wouldn't be good. You and I both know this was the best possible use of Joe Hendry.
It would have been just as good as anything else on the shitty goddamn show I just watched. So except for which I didn't get to watch the women's 3-way match that opened up the show, which apparently was pretty amazing, and then I guess it was all downhill.
I got a text from one of our mutual friends.
JD, I want you to be right about this hurting TNA. I just don't think it's going to be.
I don't think it's going to either. I just don't think it helps their perception amongst the eyes of WWE fans as being a product that you should take more seriously. Like WWE is not telling their fan base that this title is that this champion is at the level of our guys.
No, but no one thinks that it is.
I know. It's not wrong. I'm just saying that's
WWE advertises for TNA, and they tell you to go watch the shows and to watch their pay-per-views and all that stuff. And here's the thing. Like, people always say WWE fans only watch WWE. And for the most part, that is true. When someone leaves WWE and goes somewhere else, the fans don't follow them unless it's CM Punk, right? Very rare occasions do they follow them. Like, they did not follow Mercedes Moné. They didn't follow all these other people. However, when WWE tells their fans to go watch something else, they do. They will go. And I have evidence of that. TNA's fucking ticket sales are through the roof. Now, are access numbers through the roof? No, nobody has access. Nobody watches access. But their app subscriptions, which I was able to find out, like, doubled since last June, right? Now, what was the first number? I don't know. I don't have access to the numbers. But what I do know is that it did double, and that's been corroborated by several sources. So they did double. So How good that is, I fucking can't tell you. Like, I don't have access to the numbers.
Like I said, I'm really happy for TNA that they've been able to grow. Because again, we covered that show during some really dark days of Impact, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember going out to Skyway Studios and watching 2021 TNA, and there being 80 people maybe in the building. So I mean, it's really cool. It's a great story of a company that really stuck to what they believed in and just kept fighting through all things. I honestly think TNA is a model of what wrestling promotions should be, and not giving up in the spite of trouble. Like I really believe that in my heart of hearts. Yeah. I guess my whole issue comes from WWE will never ever let someone be on their level. Right? No. They can never treat someone else's champion as being up to their standard, right?
No.
The champion from another company comes in, he is a joke. And I get that, and we're living in a postmodern age of professional wrestling, right? Yeah. Where none of this stuff matters. And I'm not arguing with you on that. Yes. I'm just saying that it fucking sucks. That's all that I'm saying. Is like there was a time when you had champion versus champion, right? Like I'm sorry, I'm no JD's an AEW mark. Like when Kazuchika Okada came in with the IWGP belt to AEW, that was fucking cool, right? That was fucking cool to have two guys that were treated on the same level. Joe Hendry was treated, on the same level as like, I don't know, Andrade. Like someone who doesn't matter for the company. I hope he's happy.
I think if WWE sent Andrade to go work for TNA, he would probably be the champion.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, so like everybody knows the level that TNA is at. There are some delusional TNA fans that don't quite get it. Like they're not understanding it. But for the most part, TNA knows where they're at. WWE knows what TNA is. We all know what TNA is. And the only people that are really mad about this are the people that aren't watching TNA. Like like WWE fans thought it was so cool to see Joe Hendry tonight. TNA fans, by and large, thought it was so cool to see Joe Hendry tonight. They didn't really give a fuck what happened after that. And they thought that the RKO spot was pretty funny. I thought they geeked out their world champion, but because I've learned from last year, because I remember when Joe Hendry went on NXT and got eliminated, I went on a fucking rant. Like I brought Hellfire and Brimstone to the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. I was so mad, and I was made to look so foolish whenever at Bound for Glory, they still sold out. They were like 3,500 tickets. Slammiversary was like almost 4,000, and Joe Hendry was the featured star on both of them. And then they go into Genesis and they sell 4,000 more tickets. And I'm like, well, maybe none of this fucking shit matters anymore. And I get the feeling that all these WWE fans care about is if somebody's popular, has a cool theme song, a couple of catchphrases, and is funny to look at. And that's kind of where we're at.
Like, and that's the thing though, is like we've reached this phase specifically with WWE wrestling where none of this shit fucking matters. Storytelling doesn't matter. They claim it does. It doesn't. Like nothing matters, but like these starfuck segments, like bringing Travis Scott in, the guy who showed up twice and he's had like major impacts. They never talk about it. They're so easy to bend over backwards for stuff that doesn't matter, right? So it doesn't matter to people like it matters to people like us, but we don't fucking matter because WWE has consistently told their audience over and over again that this is the stuff that matters, right? So consequently, they believe it. It just, I don't know if telling your fan base that your program is a joke is good for the long-term health of it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we've reached the point where your big brother company telling their fan base that this promotion is a glorified indie, but it's the glorified indie that we like. So you can watch this one.
And we want you to support it.
That we want you to support. That's okay. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe I just liked wrestling better when they took this shit a little bit more seriously.
I think we're just dinosaurs.
And that's okay. I can sit there and say it's not as entertaining as I want it to be. And the truth of the matter is most of the TNA fan base is so excited that their company got mentioned in Wrestlemania that they don't care that their company looks like a joke. In fact, they're so used to their company being a joke and nobody taking it seriously that they just accept the fact that TNA is a fucking joke. But
JD, they don't see it as being a joke.
I know, but that's the thing. Everybody else does, but it's like when you're abused, right? Like you get asked so much.
Who's everybody else? Who's everybody else? You know who everybody else is?
40,000 faithful.
It's the snobs. And you know what the WWE fans and the TNA fans do to the snobs? They point and laugh. They don't care.
Dude, no one is snobbier than a WWE fan.
I know, but they're snobs.
Snobbier. No.
What I mean is the
a snob.
That don't like WWE, that now by proxy don't like TNA, because they're over here on this conglomerate over here. They like this billionaire better than this billionaire because this billionaire over here is involved in sex trafficking crimes, right? So like, and they don't, their wrestling's not as good, right? So like everybody's picked their side, and they just point, they just point and laugh. That like literally, I see the TNA fans being excited about this. They don't think TNA is a joke. They love TNA. They're going to support TNA. WWE fans didn't think it was a joke. They thought it was a cool, fun moment. And then you have all these people on the outside, and they're all just pointing and laughing at them like, why are you mad about this? And why are you taking this so seriously? We're having fun.
That's the thing, is they absolutely thought it was a joke. They laughed the whole time. The whole thing was played out for comedy. Comedy, by definition, is a joke.
But they like that. They think that's cool.
I agree.
They think it's cool.
I agree.
Like you're saying, you're calling it as a joke, like it's less than. They think it's funny and cool and interesting, right?
It is.
So none of these people give a fuck what we think anymore.
No,
they just don't. It reminds me of all the people that the sanctimonious people that got so mad that Roman Reigns said he supported Donald Trump. Nobody fucking cared. Like nobody cares about this shit anymore. It's like nobody fucking cares. Like I read it, I was like, why the fuck would you say that? You're an idiot. You're gonna ruin your career. You're gonna want to go to Hollywood. They don't like him over in Hollywood. And people were like, oh, I'm not going to support Roman Reigns on Twitter, saying all this stuff. He gets out there in that arena, and it's nothing but love and support. It's like, nobody gives a shit about any of this stuff anymore.
Well, hold on. You're conflating a lot of things. No one knows how many WWE fans are reading Vanity Fair. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
How big is that Venn diagram? Like,
none of them really care. The only people that care. And here's the reason why I brought it up. The only people that care are people like us.
Now, that being said, do you think Hollywood will care?
Not as much as they would have a couple of years ago. I think that's starting to kind of. I think that tide is kind of starting to turn a little bit. We're seeing it in comedy, to where comedy is kind of leaning more another way. Netflix is starting to bring on some more of the controversial stars. I don't think it matters as much as it used to. Mel Gibson just had a decently sized movie with Mark Wahlberg recently. Like none of this stuff really matters as much as it did a couple years ago. That tide is turning. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we're still talking about it. All depends on tastemakers, and like Roman Reigns is still not proven that he's anything that can.
No, Roman Reigns did dick like whenever he was in his last couple of movies. So
correct. So I mean, like that's when you are not popular, your opinions can hurt you. Yeah. You know, people do. It's a business where people go, I don't want to work with that guy. He's kind of.
JD, we have a guest on the show. We got to bring back Cousin Joe.
I completely forgot we had a guest on the show. Sorry, Joe.
Hold on.
I was just letting you guys do your thing, man. You guys were going at it. I was just sitting back and enjoying it.
Yeah. No, sorry. So, all right, Cousin Joe, we got to get into the WrestleMania recap because we've already been on for an hour. We haven't talked about the show because JD and the rest of the TNA haters want me to admit that TNA is going to die. But I'm telling you right now, until WWE buys them, they're not going to die.
Dude, TNA is like a set of like gonorrhea. That shit ain't going anywhere. You got it for life. Is that true?
All right.
I just made that up.
Yeah.
No, you can cure gonorrhea now. I think that's penicillin.
Syphilis.
Syphilis.
Sure.